Okay. Versatile vigilante, young Vince, Uncle Vinny. And we're here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jaek DeLarge.
It's true.
What's going on, my guy?
Man, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to see you, bro. It's been a few months in the making. I'm glad we're making this happen.
Yeah.
Always enjoy talking to you. So now we got to get this on camera.
Yeah. This is one of those few times where it's like, yo, we should do something. And then, like, it actually
Yes.
happens. So I'm happy about that.
And yo, you know what? Before getting into, oh shit, look at that rainbow. I got mad distracted. That's a pure rainbow right here. Shout out to
Man.
the lake.
Hey, man, that's special. That's a good sign.
That is a good
That's a
sign,
good
man.
sign.
So yo, we met actually pretty randomly. Shout out
The industry bar.
Industry Snack Bar on
Yeah.
Bloor. Great spot. We randomly saw each other on like a winter night, chopped it up.
Facts.
Good conversation. You came to my event, which I appreciate, and that was like a super organic link up. So it's kind of cool
Yeah.
that it started from a very random thing, and chemistry was good. So I appreciate your energy, bro.
And that's the city, man. I was coming from the movie theater. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not ready to go home yet.
Yes.
Let me hit the spot, see what's going on. And, because they're open late.
Yeah.
I always know, all right, I can go over there and I can get like a good bite to eat and get a cool drink or whatever. And, ran into some good people.
100%, man. Might need a industry snack bar sponsorship after that.
Holla at us. I think it's important. I've been bringing a lot of people
Yes.
through there. You know what I mean? That's like
Yes.
my home base for sure.
Fuck yeah, man. So yo, you've been around for a minute. You've been doing your thing for a minute, but I know you just dropped a new project recently.
Yeah,
Return on investment.
true.
I want to get into your backstory, but let's start with return on investment, man. Talk a little bit about that project.
Man, that project was it's interesting for me because I wasn't really interested in making any more music. I was kind of just focused on like my personal life and just developing in different areas, but eventually my creativity kind of found me again, and that was the first thing that I made in full and like finished it. And it started from shout out to my guy Thorn. He's like the mayor of DC, ultimate shot caller, ultimate quarterback. He plugged me in with Rennie. Shout out to 407 Rennie. We did the whole joint together. And me and Rennie did one song, Rotation. And that was in the midst of me doing some other stuff. And there was this weird technical issue where I couldn't get the song mixed, couldn't get it finished. So I was just like, I guess not meant to be. And I put it down, and maybe like a year later, he made a post like, yo, what's up with this song? And I was like, shit, we can get to it. Like, matter of fact, let's do a whole album. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
And he was like, all right, bet. I'll send you something tonight. And for a week, he sent me new joints every night. And I just wrote another song. So it took me a week to write it. Then locked in with my guy Ryan. Shout out to Ryan Blades, another certified spitter, West Side legend. And locked in, did it in the afternoon. For
The rest
sure.
is history.
The rest is history, and it's like I was going through I call it a period of extreme personal growth.
Okay.
So once I started seeing the results of the work I was putting in and like seeing how my life was changing, seeing how things around me were starting to show, that's where the name for the album came from. Just being able to see the fruits of your labor.
I like that. I like that. I I definitely relate to what you're talking about, man, because I feel as you get a little older, you really do that old cliche of life is what you make it. It becomes more and more true, I feel, every day. And yeah, you're absolutely right. If you do something, you'll see results from it. It might take a while. You might not even see them, but it's working.
Yeah.
And then the other, if you're not doing it or you're doing bad shit, you're going to see those results as well.
Yeah, everything is like time is like a filter. Everything has to go through the filter before it can be realized. So even if your vision is something like huge and grand, it's gonna start with like very small, like boring and simple things that you just gotta keep doing and doing and doing and doing it with trust and doing it with faith. And then through time, you'll start to see it manifest itself. You don't just wake up one day and have a house in the middle of the street. Everyone's gonna see the house in the middle of the street. That's an analogy I picked up from Spitta. You know what I mean? So you don't gotta tell everyone, hey, I'm doing this thing, just build it. And people will see it.
Shout out Spitta and Dreddy, man.
For sure. Huge inspiration.
Yes, I remember we spoke about that too. I'm a huge Currency fan, man, and he's to me the fucking blueprint in I'm not a rapper, but I still look at him as a blueprint of like, man, he has built his I don't know, I guess you could say brand, but it's more than that.
It's more than that.
It's way more than that. He's built it.
It's an empire now.
He's built that empire brick by brick, being himself, being just a solid factor. Everyone fucks with him. He's always doing his shit. He doesn't do anything he doesn't want to do at this point. That's for sure. And he's just someone where it's like, wow, he like the word organic.
Yeah, and that's like the goal. At least like for me, it was a goal. Just like be able to not have to step outside of yourself and like do anything that's weird or like, be again like we were talking before, like being a slave to this shit. Like it could really take you and just make you into something that you never had intentions of being. But the fact that you could see people like him, people like Nip, who are able to maintain their integrity and really like reach their goals and do all the things that, when you're young and you see it on TV and you're like, damn, that's cool. I want to do that, or I want to have this, or I want to go there. To be able to do those things or be in a position to do those things comfortably without having to feel weird about what you see in the mirror. I feel like that's always been a goal of mine.
Very, very relatable. I feel the exact same way, bro. Because you see, it's like if you fake it to get there, you're gonna have to keep faking it. Then,
you're trapped.
You're trapped. You're trapped in wearing a mask your whole life. If you get somewhere, you don't get somewhere, but you're being yourself. You're good, man. You'll be able to figure it out.
You can still come outside. People will still respect you. People will still welcome you. And that's, I think a lot of artists have like a weird fear thing around that, just like acceptance, which is understandable. Like what you're doing is like a very vulnerable thing. You're supposed to be talking about your experiences and expressing your point of view, and that could be a little nerve-wracking. So you're not really sure if like people will connect to what you're saying or if they'll relate or if it resonates. But if you're faking it, it's going to put you in a position where the people who do connect with it, you won't connect with them. Yes. And then, it's shaky business from there.
Yeah, exactly. Shaky's right. The foundation is shaky. It's not built. Shit's facade, essentially.
Yeah. I always feel bad about like gangster rappers and shit. Where it's like if you're not really tough, and then you pop out and like if you're in a certain studios are the worst because if it's one of those studios where everybody's hanging out, they're gonna be able to feel that you're not really that. And if you just find yourself in sticky situations. So I always say just do what feels natural. Listen to yourself and never play yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely right, bro. And I feel like it actually, when you're that way, when you're just being yourself, it attracts other people that are being themselves as well. And relationships are built, bonds are built. Good work can come from that. To me, it's the only fucking way.
Yeah, this is proof of that. This is a result of that.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So, you do have a very interesting history. Doing research on you, it's pretty interesting to see videos on YouTube from like 13 years ago, 11 years ago. You've been in the game a minute, man.
Yeah.
One thing that I found super interesting, and again, like sign of the times, you had a stretch where you were a champion on Rap City. What was it? Rap City.
Yeah, Rap City.
I remember you. How many the clip I saw, and I think it was T-Rex.
Yeah, he was hosting.
T-Rex was saying you're a 3-week champ of Rap City. Yeah. How long did that title go for?
They retired me.
They retired you. Yeah, you were undefeated.
Undefeated. 5 weeks.
5 weeks, bro. That brought me like some sense of nostalgia because I remember watching that show. I remember watching those MuchMusic days, and when I was preparing to interview you, I'm like, oh fuck, that's a sick thing to talk about, man.
That was a moment.
That was a moment. You were young, mad young at the time.
Yeah, I was still a kid. I knew what I was doing, but I didn't really understand like the full magnitude of how to like take advantage of it.
When you
You know,
look back at that type of memory, how do you feel like kind of going down memory lane on that type of a thing?
it's just like a cool thing I did. Like it's just another thing on the list of like, what makes me the most interesting man in the world,
Yes.
But it was a fun time. It was something that I didn't want to do initially, that came from a lot of people around me. Like, yo, it wasn't a battle in the beginning. It was more like a cipher. So if there were rappers in the crowd, they would just hand them the mic and let them do their thing. And then it kind of got a little more curated to whereas you would see certain people who were moving and shaking. Like I remember cousin Charlie
Yep.
was up there rhyming. This is before it was a battle. So people were just going up spitting verses. I think Sharon might have did it a couple times. Like there were rappers there, but at the same time it wasn't something that people felt like the rappers were taking serious.
Right.
So people were reaching out to me like, yo, you gotta go, you gotta do it. Like these guys aren't they're playing, they're not taking it serious. And I'm like, I don't wanna be I don't wanna be involved with that. Like I don't wanna be in a mix with people who aren't taking it serious because I'm taking this like very, very serious,
Right.
But eventually I went how did it even play out?
And you'd already been rapping for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. I've been battle tested, I've been trained, I've been perfecting my craft and shit. But I went for an audition. You got to audition, and I think they had just turned it into like a battle kind of thing. And my boy Church Chisel, he was the current champion. And one of the PAs that were working on the show, she was at an event and saw me and Church battle, our first battle, right? Which I won. Shout out to Church, that's my dog. But we battled. I won. It was like this whole tournament, so it was like a bunch of people. And she saw that battle. So she was like, me, I'm like a really laid back guy or whatever. So I just spit my verse and they were like, yo, the verse was cool, but for TV, you kind of got to like liven it up a little bit. Like you got to perform. And I was like, yeah, this is just the proof that I could
Appetizer.
rap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm just letting you know I could really rap. Like I'm not going to fucking, but they're like, yo, if we select you, you got to just turn it up a little bit. I'm like, cool. Shorty that seen the battle, the first battle, she was like, yo, I want to bring you on so that you can battle Church in his final week, right? So he's like, if he wins, he retires. If he loses, it's over. So that was supposed to be the plan, and it didn't happen. They're like, let him retire because it's like it's better. Not let him retire, but it's better for TV if we have someone who like goes all the way
Right.
versus risking like having a real battle because like Church could really, really rap. You know what I mean? So it's like if we have a real battle and things get out of our control, that's not what we really want for TV. But the week after he got retired, the week after they put me on and it was on from there. Yeah.
Was that at a time where you were seeing a little bit of a buzz for you, or like a different look?
Yeah. I had a tape out, One Night Stand. It was my second mixtape. And I put that out and it was kind of this is before like there were all these like DSPs and whatnot. This
Right.
was way back in the day. But the Z Share link was just booming. Like it was going crazy. Like and me and my bro Free were just like looking at the numbers like damn this shit is going, but we didn't really have a way to like track everything and
Right.
like keep up with the analytics. We just knew like, yo, this tape is just going. And when I got to the show, it put a face to the music, but it also gave me like a national kind of look. So there's people all across the country that are watching the show and not watching me. I got people in jail that are watching this shit, and calling back like, yo, I just seen that shit. Shit was crazy. You killed
Right.
it. Ooh. So like it boosted my profile and it put me in a space where the phone was ringing a lot more. Yeah.
Because, bro, when I said it kind of had me a little nostalgic because it used to be like everyone was watching the same shit. Now there's so much. It's rare to find someone that listens to the same music anymore because there's
Facts.
so much. At that time, bro, even up until like 2013, I would say. Rap City and those types of things. It was important shit, bro. Major rappers were still going to those
Of
stations.
course.
Serious. So for you to have that, I was very impressed, bro. I obviously knew your pedigree, but just finding that little Easter egg was super cool to me, man.
Yeah, man. They didn't have all my battles on YouTube though,
I think there's
but
like two or three.
there's like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were getting some looks, man. Did that kind of push you to another level of wanting to take things more serious? Were you already serious? This was just like a new
Yeah.
chapter.
It was like a double-edged sword. So even though, like I said, I didn't want to do the show, but then I did it, and I saw the response from it, and it made me wanna put more music out. And so I was like excited to come back with another project, which I was already working on. And the flip side was the attention. I wasn't used to the attention, and I'm coming from the neighborhood still, so like I have unresolved PTSD that I don't know about. So
Right.
like people I don't know knowing me, recognizing me being out, it was hard for me to deal with that, and I didn't really know how to adjust, but I kind of didn't really have a choice kind of thing. So it was a weird thing to navigate. I was like, all right, I got to move a little bit differently, but like, do I? Because I'm like, I'm not famous, but I'm having these experiences where
Right.
it's like, oh, I got to think twice about where I am, or like if I tell someone I'm gonna be somewhere, like I gotta like be more mindful. Like I can't really go to like a house party. I could, but then I got to deal with like, yo, this is my boy, da 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 da, yo, spit something, or then I'm just like, bro, I'm really just here to like sip on something,
Right.
rock with some girls, and get out of here. Like it got weird, and I wasn't really like a people person. I was a very like unfriendly person as Jaek DeLarge. Like the whole purpose of Jaek DeLarge was to be, I want rappers to be nervous about me. I want rappers to be uncomfortable having to deal with me because I could just rap so much better than you. I write faster. My recording process is cleaner. Like you can't fuck with me in any facet. My live show is iller. I'm really cool in person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I
Like a
want,
damn wrestler.
yeah, like I want rappers to be like, fuck, I gotta deal with this guy. You know what I mean? And even if we're cool, even if I see you and I dap you, deep down you know you can never fuck with me. Right? This a line you don't want to cross.
Right.
Right? So I wasn't friendly. All right. So it was just a lot of weird energy. But what it did do was like bring the industry to me. And like I started dealing with like executives and stuff like that.
And that's like a whole other game, man. Because
Yeah.
like the rapping is I would think is the fun part. Then you're dealing with the labels. You're dealing with people that they're at the end of the day trying to make money off you.
Yeah.
What were some early experiences of that?
Again, just dealing with random people saying like, yo, I work for this company, or like I'm connected here and da da da. And like, yo, we could do it big. And it's just like, for me, I never been a person that like really cared a lot about money. Like it's hard to really like move me if we're talking about money and like material things. Like I like to experience nice things, and I made it a point to put myself in a position to do that really, really young. So when people were kind of like talking to me about like trying to sell a dream to me, it was like it's not really that impressive to me because like this is stuff we're already doing. All right, this is stuff we're already into. You want to hang out with like certain people, or like I already know them, I grew up with them, right? I'm really from the city, right? We really been out here for a long time doing this shit, so it's like whatever. But eventually, you get to the point where you start dealing with people who are like a little bit more serious, But I think the most pivotal experience I had was with E1, surprisingly. So E1, they were interested in me along with a couple other labels, but they were like pursuing me the most. And I was familiar with E1 only because they bought Koch, and I was watching what was happening with Koch and what like Jim Jones and them were doing over there with like all the Dipset mixtapes, and I was
Huge.
hearing like, yo, these guys they're getting a lot of money over there because they're not dealing with like a major label, right? So I was already, the wheels were turning business wise for me already. I wasn't like a ignorant kind of artist where like I just don't know what's going on, right? I was thinking business already. So when they came and they started talking to me, I was like, all right, I could probably do something here. And I had a conversation with the executive, and he was like, ultimately, it didn't go the way that we wanted it to in terms of like being able to do the deal, just because they couldn't agree to our terms and what we wanted. But in that conversation, he kind of like saved my life in a way, because he was like, yo, there's gonna be a wave, like there's gonna be something that comes, and the industry's afraid of it. And if you sign a deal now based on the things that you're asking for, the deal that you're in is gonna be obsolete in like a year or two. So this is like 2013. So it's like the deal that you signed today, it's not gonna make sense in 2 years. You're gonna spend the money in 8 months, and you're gonna look at me and feel some type of way. You're gonna be disgruntled, and the stuff in the paperwork is not gonna make sense. Like, if you don't take a deal today, if we don't work something out in this period, then you're better off staying independent. Like, don't rush to just sign another deal, because something is coming, right? And I've been hearing this kind of thing since like Napster, right? When the whole industry's like, oh, it's over, all the money's gone, da da da, and it was like panic,
Yep.
right? So I was like, oh, y'all still got labels, y'all still got buildings, you're still putting out albums. Like, I guess it's not over. But like you said, like a year or two later, it happened. Like Spotify happened, and everything changed. And I was like, wow, he was right. If I was in a deal and then streaming came, all of my paperwork, all the language in my paperwork would reference physical copies and like having to meet requirements of a business model that doesn't exist. So after that, I was like, I'm cool on a deal personally. You know what I mean? But that was like the biggest thing I learned. Like, oh, they can see some of the shit. Some of them will tell you, hey, some of them will tell you the truth, some of them won't.
Right.
I was fortunate that I met someone that told me the truth.
Shout out to him, man.
Yeah.
And I bet he was probably just looking at you like, this guy's been very honest with me. I'm going to be very honest with him.
I mean, I hope so. Yeah. Eric Alper. Shout out to Eric Alper.
Shout out Eric Alper, man. Real one.
Real one.
Ahead of the times. And you know what? It is kind of fucking nuts, because like streaming now has been around for a minute. It's been, 10 years, whatever it's been. But yeah, it did kind of happen
Quick.
It was building, like you said, people were talking about it, but it did go from, because again, still remember like Drake and all those guys.
Stat Piff.
Exactly.
Stat Piff. It was mixtapes. Like,
yes.
My third mixtape was the first time I ever sold. Like, tried to actually go and sell something, and like I was moving my units, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, all right, I had proof. So I'm like, all right, sick. Now I can start thinking about the next step. But then the streaming happened, and it was like, okay, people aren't even, you can't sell someone a CD, right? You can't sell someone. I remember, shout out to, again, my dog Church, he had USBs with his shit on it. And like, you can't really sell those no more, because they changed the fucking MacBooks. no more USB shit. So it's like, damn, they're cooking us from all angles, but again, I got hip to it. Someone hit me to it, and I just never really wanted to get back into it, because I'm like, none of it makes sense anymore.
Right.
Like, what are we selling? That was always my question. Like, what are we selling? Right? If we're not selling music, what are we selling? And I could never really get a straight answer about that. Some people, you create a brand, you sell some clothes, and like that's the music is the driving tool to sell your product, right? We had like sweaters and shit that we were just giving out. We weren't selling them. That was an area that we dropped the ball on. I could admit that now, but I was just like, what are we selling? Right? Everybody's trying to get hot. Everyone's trying to get followers, but like, why?
Yeah. What does that get you?
Yeah. Like, why? Like, you can't, can you sell a ticket? Can these followers come somewhere and like buy something from you? If not, what the fuck? You just want to be famous? Like, that's weird as hell. Like, and I'm only saying it's weird as hell because like I had my brush with it, and I was like, this shit is weird as fuck. Like, I had a kid. I went to go see my sister. She was getting her nails done. This in the hood. I hop off the bus. I hop off the 36. Jump off the bus, and this kid, this little ass kid, was like, "Oh my god!" Like he froze, and I froze like, fuck, you know what I mean? He was like, "Yo, like you're Jake DeLarge," like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm here all the time, like
Yeah, I live here.
yeah, like I live here, right? But for him, it was just like this far fetched thing, and I was like, "Oh shit, all right, this is weird." Right?
Right.
I don't ever want to not be like a real person.
Right, man. And especially for like younger, like I'm talking kids, like especially now, I feel we grew up with rappers for sure and definitely looked up to them.
Yeah.
But it's like you couldn't really be a rapper when you're like 13, you know? Like
Yeah.
you could rap, you can fuck around with your friends and shit, but you couldn't really be like putting out music and
Yeah,
shit.
you couldn't be a star. Like that was
Nah.
reserved. Like there was Bow Wow, and that was
That was it.
like
That was
fuck.
it,
And
bro.
that guy was a mega star. Like
Yes.
arenas,
Yeah,
back to
and a
back
movie
tours.
star and shit.
Yeah, like that shit wasn't no. I'm gonna just do this with my friends type shit.
No, but now you absolutely can, and 100 fucking like 15-year-olds are popping, and I feel that they get caught in that trap of not understanding what they're really signing up for. Whereas when you're a little older, more life experience like you had and have, you're like, oh, this is not what it seems, bro.
Yeah, I was fortunate that happened to me when I was in my early 20s. But
Yeah,
if I went through that when I was like 14, 15, I would have crashed out. Like
100%.
super
I'll never
crashed
blame
out.
a kid, bro. It's I just feel it's too much for them. And like I feel it right now when it's like 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds with all this shit. I'm like, man, we're setting them up for failure.
Yeah.
They can't. It's too much.
It's way too much. Down to like if you think about like how rappers used to look. Like
They look like grown men.
yeah,
Now it's
grown
fucking
men,
literally kids.
they're kids. Even how they dress before, you could go buy the same shit as a rapper, but now it's like, nah, this is like designer head to toe type shit. You gotta have your kit together and it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost to even pretend to look like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
Right. Before it was white tees and Air Forces.
100%.
Right. White tees, Air Forces, can you rap? Right. We'll figure out the rest of the stuff later. Now it's like, nah, you gotta have the look, you gotta have the kit together. And then we'll see if we wanna listen. And it's like as a kid, trying to figure that out and like trying to put your look together. God bless.
100%, man. And I think that relates to what you're talking about of like what are we doing this for? Like just streams and fame. And it's like I just literally think a lot of these kids don't have their brain nearly developed, so they literally don't know why they're doing this shit. And it because especially in the city we're in, where a
Yeah.
lot of it is tied to like some violent shit. It's like they're attached and they're like so deep in some shit that I don't think they
Yeah, they don't
know
know.
at all what they're dealing
They
with.
don't know. For us it was we knew where everybody was from, but no one really like talked about it because they understood like there's the political landscape
Yes.
is fragile and it's a small city and you can't necessarily like you can't just be outside talking super crazy. You're gonna have to deal with that because we're all going to the same mall. We're going to the same parties. We're dealing with the same girls. It's you gotta be very careful about that. Like even back in like the real Toronto days, when people first started bringing cameras out, you couldn't just bring cameras to the
Nah.
block. You couldn't just be in the hood like I'm from here. Look at my face and very different thing, you know.
You know what's funny, bro? I actually kind of got paged not that long ago. I was doing like a little vlog in Kensington Market, and like an older, like, you know, judging a book by its cover, but it was, I think, just in this case, he's like, I fucking hate cameras. He said that to me, and I'm like, I don't blame you, bro. I
Yeah.
walked away. I'm like, you know what? It was kind of refreshing, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
you're like, huh, this is weird.
yeah, it's like, man, I respected it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, nah, it didn't used to be this way,
You
bro.
couldn't bring cameras out. That's why like our people are getting into like this whole conversation around like the Toronto sound and like our history. And a lot of it is not like documented like visually because you couldn't bring cameras out. Like you got to be very specific about that shit. So we don't have a ton of music videos from like the songs that really made an impact and like moved shit.
True.
You know what I mean? So it was a different time and I grew up in it, you know, so understanding like, yeah, especially for someone like me, like I grew up in Chain and Finch, I'm like born and raised in Connections, right?
Yeah.
Then I moved to Rexdale. Instantly, that's a conflict
Yeah,
right
that's
there. Right. Then I moved from Rexdale to Western Road. I'm living on the south side of Weston. I go to school on the north side of Weston. All again, I have to be like a diplomat about like how I move around, right? But
yeah.
it gave me compassion because I understood that like how we're dealing with the same thing everywhere,
Yes.
right? But because not everyone is really moving around the way I am, they don't really know, and they don't have that comfortability or even understand that like, yo, if you're pursuing something like music, or like if you're a hooper or something, like if you're pursuing something, you could just stay in your lane
Yes.
and do your thing. But again, the relationships matter, right? If you come to the hood and you're hooping and you're not from around here, that could be a problem, right?
Absolutely.
If you're rapping, that could be a problem. Like if it doesn't matter what you're doing, that could be a problem. So you got to learn how to deal with people, and that inability to connect with people and understand the similarities that we all have. I feel like a lot of people got robbed of that, but again, I was fortunate enough to be able to move and be good in places and develop relationships with people who understood the same thing, regardless of whether they were in the streets or not.
Right.
Because even people in the streets, they get it because they're moving around, right? It's just for different purposes. But when you got these kids coming out who they don't have like guidance, they don't have OGs, all that stuff,
Yes.
but they're moving around and they're representing where they're from and they're showing their face. Like, you don't understand, that's valuable, right? That's valuable to the right people and for the wrong thing. Trophy, right?
100%, bro. And I even feel it applies to anyone. Maybe not even if they're in a street life, but maybe it's a kid that's just like a fucking class clown, thinks everything's a joke. Often you connect the dots. It's a lack of guidance, man. It's a lack of It's a lack of someone that they can look at that's lived a good life. Usually it comes from a kid that doesn't have that type of role model, bro.
Facts.
I think so. I have a hard time blaming a kid.
Yeah, I'm never gonna blame a kid because you're just dealing with what you know. Like
Exactly.
there was so much shit that I didn't know that. Fortunately, I was at a time where there were like people who controlled the neighborhood and people who had say that people respected, like to tell me no, like nah, go to
Yeah.
school, right?
Yeah.
Just go focus on your books. Like I had that, fortunately, right? And I was still listening to nothing but gangster rap, like you dig, but all that changed, right? And I seen it change. So again, I can't blame these kids. I understand what's missing from their equation.
100%, bro. And that's where I get kind of I feel weird because as like a 13, 14-year-old, I was certainly listening to bad like messages.
Bro, when like G Unit came out,
Oh,
like
bro.
Dipset, like
Terrible.
you can tell me shit. Like it was we now had theme music for what was actually going on
Yeah.
outside, and like everyone was on it. You can't come outside if you're not able to handle what's going on outside. Right. And I was outside every day. Like I didn't watch Arthur. You
Oh,
know
I
what I'm
loved
saying?
Arthur.
Like,
Shout out to Arthur.
I didn't watch the Family Channel and shit. Like I was outside
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So again, you gotta just understand like there's a mix of influences that are at play. You know?
100%, man. And I talked about this with my parents recently where it's like I'm definitely understanding how stressful it could be to be a parent because once the kid's out the fucking door,
Yeah, no control.
especially if there's not the greatest influences around outside, a kid's just not that bright usually.
Yeah, if you got a
You
dumb
know,
kid,
if a
oh,
kid's
man.
not very smart,
You got
like,
a dumb
fuck,
kid.
man. I'm thinking about that shit. I'm like, holy
It's
fuck.
scary. At least like I had friends that like my mom didn't want me to hang around, but like at least she knew who they were.
Right.
Right? She could tell me, hey, I don't want to see you hanging out with so and so, but like at least you know.
Yeah, and it's in the back of your mind too.
Yeah, right. And he knows my mom. He knows she don't fuck with him. But hey, that's my dog. Like I'm gonna be outside with my dog. Like worst case scenario, our thing was if we go somewhere together, we got to come back together.
Facts.
At least that was that. But shit, these kids ain't got that. The parents ain't connected. Parents don't know shit.
My one of my favorite conversations is like the old vibe of all these kids are on their phone all day. Bro, look at their fucking dad and mom. They're on their phone more than the fucking kid.
Yeah.
If these grown people can't control their fucking phone addiction, how can we expect a 12-year-old to,
Yeah,
bro?
they grew up with that. They don't know it's a phone addiction because they don't know anything outside of it.
At all.
You know, they're just, all right, I grew up with this thing in my hand. That's all they know. So I don't know, it's sad, and it's sad for certain reasons, and I just hope that there's a natural course correct that happens.
I think there will be. I do think there will be. I've always felt glass half full with everything. But with certain topics, I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go, man. Like this right now, I feel like we're at that like fork in the road.
Yeah, we've definitely reached it, and I feel like there's enough rhetoric or conversation going on online where people can kind of find for themselves the alternative
Yeah.
and decide, all right, do I want to, is this really what I'm on? Like, I feel like I'm leaning more towards this. And like, there's enough people over there to kind of give you that safety that you would get from like a herd mentality kind of
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
You know, so I think the kids are going to be all right. But man, it's tricky to watch. It's tricky to watch because I'm like, man, they're on a tightrope. You know, I think about how the labels are like paying to, they're sponsoring a lot of like the shit that's happening, but they don't get any type of like backlash, or there's no repercussion for it. Like, think about what's going on with Thug, and like, it's like, if you're saying he used the money to fund a criminal organization, where did the funds come from?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you gotta, okay, maybe they were all selling crack. Okay, maybe, but we do have proof that he got a large lump sum of money from several companies.
Oh yeah.
Right. Who's responsible?
100%, man. It's ultimate like puppeteer shit right now.
Yeah, man. And it's unfortunate. Again, motherfuckers don't know what they're signing up for.
No.
Because they'll tell you in a meeting, yo, it's gonna work better if you do this instead. You know what I mean? Like, this is cool, but the people kind of want this instead. And it's like, you're putting someone's life in jeopardy at that point.
Absolutely, man. I completely feel you. Like crashing out is damn near glamorized, and I'm like, do you guys need to understand? You crash out, that's your life.
Yeah,
It's
like,
not your career is hurt. No, no, no. Your life.
You're done.
You're done. Like
And
you
the
might
game's gonna
die.
continue.
Yes.
You know, they're just gonna replace you with another motherfucker. You know.
Well, exactly right, bro. It's fascinating to see. Like I've got my own problems. I'm not trying to, solve anyone else's, but it is fascinating to see from kind of a outside looking in, where it's like, man,
Yeah, I feel like that's like the getting older thing and like becoming the new OGs or whatever. It's like, now I understand why like certain old heads would be like, yo, you got to be careful about what you listen to. You got to be careful about what you're watching and like the energy and all that. I get it now because I'm much more aware. I'm seeing the whole picture versus just the entertainment factor. You know, and it's like, man, it's tricky. It's so tricky. I tell a lot of artists that I work with, like, yo, when you're writing these songs, just understand that you gotta go out and relive this stuff. So if you're writing about pain and like you get a record that people resonate with, you're gonna have to go and like perform this painful thing over and over and over again, even when like you're not in pain anymore. Right? You might have wrote that song when you were rock bottom, and now like everything's good, like shit is straight, but you got to come out on stage and like be at rock bottom
right?
and deal with people who are at rock bottom. Right? Who do you want at your shows? Who do you want to speak to? What type of energy you want around you? Write those songs. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't tell your whole truth or don't tell the truth, but understand that whatever you put out, you're gonna have to live it for at least 12 months.
Very wise, bro. Very wise. Might have to clip that. That was dope. I feel you on that, man. It's like, again, going back to your return on investment
Yeah.
theme.
These are the seeds that you're planting.
Yeah.
So whatever you want, like, write that, because the power of the tongue is a real thing. You know, if you want to party and be a rock star, I just know that you're gonna have to be on rockstar mode 24/7. That might not be fun. You know what I mean? Like personally, we were doing some rockstar shit for a stretch of years, and I was burnt out. I'm like, man, I'm cool on this shit. Like, I'm jaded. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care about. Oh, you brought. Oh, there's another 12 things in the studio. Who cares?
Yeah, it gets in. It actually, 100%,
Yeah,
bro. Like
like
that shit gets super old.
yeah, like we're gonna drink another bottle of. Ah, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
this is how we're living. This shit is trash. You know, it makes me feel like you know the end of Scarface, not the end, but like that scene in the restaurant where he's just
Oh
like
my
he's
God.
had enough, and he's like, you know,
Say goodnight to the bad guy.
is this what success is all about? It's that, where you realize like, damn, I don't even really want this shit. I don't want this shit. I wanted something else that I thought this was the representation for.
No material thing can fill that void.
For sure. You know, that's why I stopped rapping. I'm just like, I'm already good at this. Like, I'm really good at this. Like, I scratched that itch that I had when I was a kid of like, I want to hone this craft and be nice. I'm already good at this. And,
Yeah.
right, like, what else do you need? What else do you really need? What does your soul need? Go get that. Go dig into that. Unlearn some shit, right? Take off some layers and like tap in with who you really are, because that's going to matter longer than the music. Right. I'm not the kind of person that like listens to my own music. Like I don't like sit around bumping it. I'll listen to it when I'm making it. When it's done, just to make sure it is what it is. I might play a song here or there randomly, but I'm not like all I listen to is me. Cause I'm like, I'm not even in that space anymore. I'm here right now. I'm present. I gotta show up the right way and be able to cultivate this experience for whatever it is that I create next. Right. But you get locked in time, you get locked into a certain version of yourself mentally and emotionally. It's like you have to have room to grow. You have to have room to breathe. You have to give yourself permission to actually be a full person and change. Because change is like the only thing that's real. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Very, again, man, super relatable. I definitely going through a lot of that for myself too, where it's like, let's keep going, bro. Let's
Yeah.
keep going. I see a lot of people in my world, at least. I feel like the analogy I use is we're playing a game of poker. They put all their chips in already. You know, this is what I am. This is what I do.
That's it.
That's it. And I don't give a fuck. That's your life. But I look at it again outside. I'm like, man, I don't know. There's a lot more of this game I want to play, man.
Yeah.
And almost all of it is to do with myself. Like, what can I do? You know, what
Yeah.
else is out there? What can I do? What can I see? What can I achieve? What can I fail at?
What can I be?
What can I be?
You know, and that requires letting go of whatever you were. And that's what people have a hard time with, because you know you're dealing with the original idea, which is the identity, right? Which is just like a story about who you are and how you came to be. The only purpose of the identity, it serves the ego,
Yep.
right? And the ego's purpose is to become real. It wants to be you, the real you, right? So it needs a story. It needs all these things that spark emotions, that make things feel real. It needs the thoughts that create real things. But once you realize like even the identity itself is something that you created, you can just change it. Right?
Yeah.
And you do it all the time. You go from being a son to a brother to a father to a coworker to a fucking husband, whatever it is. And I'm speaking from like the male perspective, but
Yeah.
you change your identity constantly, right? But when it comes to like these core things, the real you, there's a lot of stickiness around just letting go and being like, all right, that story's over, right? And it's cool.
Yes. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, man. The story's over and there's a new story to be written.
Exactly. Every end is the beginning. There's no actual like finality to things. Everything's cyclical. So you have to, in order to get anything new, you have to experience an ending.
Exactly, man. And I think that's something it's very easy to get caught up in where, and struggle with this too, where it's like, oh, fuck, I fucked up, you know? Yeah, sure. But tomorrow's a new day too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think we get too caught up in, I fucked up or this didn't go how I wanted. Bro, tomorrow's a new day.
Shit.
Keep
Five
going.
minutes after.
5 minutes
5 minutes
after.
after. Once this shit is over, it's all right, it's over. Like I remember we did a trip to Miami. You know, my young boy got signed. Shout out to JaySoul. And this happened right after he'd graduated high school. So for him, you know, he's in a very challenging situation at this point in time. You know what I mean? Like his living situation isn't the best. He's having to deal with a lot of heavy shit that most teenagers aren't really dealing with. So the end of high school for him is the end of having 8 hours of like somewhere to be,
Yep. That, exactly.
right? So it's like, all right, this thing ends. Fuck, what are you gonna do, right? And like, yeah, you can come to the studio and like kick it with us and shit, but at the end of the day, like, you still gotta eat. You still gotta like survive, and the framework for that isn't there. So when he gets his deal, it could easily be a thing of like, fuck, I'm dealing with an ending, but without that ending, you don't get the urgency to create everything that he did and put the team together and like everything that he learned and he was soaking up. You don't get the urgency to apply it to create the new beginning, right? You can't be afraid of the ending, right? And then you have other situations that come about as a result of that, where it's like, all right, this one period where we were grinding and trying to figure something out, that's over. Now everyone thinks we have the answer. Now everyone thinks we know everything. Now everyone thinks we're rich. You got to deal with this whole new thing, a new version of you that you didn't even agree on creating. Everyone else created it.
Yeah.
All right. It's always happening. You just got to understand that you have the ability and the responsibility to do it on purpose, you know, and to make that shift in your identity and ultimately in your reality. You know?
Absolutely right, bro. Taking responsibility for yourself, taking responsibility for your actions,
Sure.
acting, like doing the act,
Yeah.
all that shit, bro. We can't really control results. You can try your best. That's what you can control.
Yeah.
What you do.
Yeah.
You can't control results, man.
Right. I believe that you can. I believe that not control,
Impact.
right? You can determine the result and you have the power to act intentionally.
Yes.
What you can't control is how it happens, right? So I have like an analogy, and this is another analogy that I kind of use with a lot of like
Love
my personal
analogies.
friends. Yeah. So like the dream house, right? So in the dream house, you got to imagine whatever your dream house looks like, you wake up in that motherfucker and you're feeling great. And you go to the kitchen and you have your morning beverage, whatever it is. Some people like tea, some people do coffee, whatever. I'm a tea guy. You have your glass, you have your mug, and you turn on the TV and you find out your favorite TV show is canceled. And you're pissed, like unreasonably mad, right? And you have all the right to be, right? Right? You're furious. Even in that moment, you're still in the dream house.
Yes.
Right. And you got to remember that like you're still living in the thing that you created. It doesn't mean that because I determined the outcome and I worked and I got here that all of it's going to be like perfect and all good. Right. You can get exactly what you want, but how you get it could be in a way that you were never prepared for. Right. You couldn't possibly put the play together.
Love that.
You know.
No, absolutely, man. I remember having a conversation, I was very young, with a friend of mine. I asked him, do you ever think you could be like worry free? And I still feel like the answer is no, because you're just in the game always. Like you're 24/7, even when you're sleeping, life is still going on. You know, so there will always be something. There will always be a show that will get canceled. You know, there will always be traffic, something, you know, like anything. And it's, I think, so important to remember that, like keeping it in check. Like, bro, this is not the end of the fucking world. My grandma used to say, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because it's like when you approach everything that way,
Yeah,
good and
it's a
bad, it's
fact.
nice. Like it's like all right,
It's a fundamental truth of the universe. Everything
literally.
passes. Like I was doing a lot of, I guess, self education on like survival mode, right? And like the concept of survival mode. And then like I got to a point where I was like, yo, this is survival is an oxymoron. Like it doesn't make sense, right? Everyone's drive and their goal, like the reason you need like a place to live and like shelter and food or whatever, it's survival. But like there is no survival. Everything dies,
Hmm.
right? Everyone is guaranteed to go. What are you wasting all your time in this like, yo, I gotta fucking just make sure I'm da da da.
Yeah,
Like,
rat race.
yeah, like you get it. You already know the ending.
Hmm.
That should take a lot of pressure off. You know what I mean? And that has kind of helped me get to a place where I'm a little bit more easy about things. I've always been like calm and cool, but in terms of like that was the surface. On the inside, it was a lot of anxiety and like turmoil about things because I'm like, damn, I gotta have an answer for everything,
Absolutely.
right? And I'm not just dealing with me. I got people behind me. I got people around me that are looking to me for support, or looking to me for guidance, or looking at me as like inspiration, whether I'm cognizant of it or not. You know, so I gotta have an answer. But once I was able to get to that point of like, oh, everything passes, everything meets its end, and ultimately a new beginning. Allow it to be, man. Just let it go, and you'll be okay. You don't gotta worry. You can, but you don't have to.
Yes. That exactly right. I completely agree.
That's where
You
I'm at.
I'm in a similar spot, bro, and it's interesting what you said about you're like a calm guy, but inside, and I again relate to that too, where
Yeah,
it's like, bro, I'll be fucking, especially you younger, like panicking on the inside, bro,
yeah,
and then over time you learn, you get into enough situations where you're like, oh shit, I'm capable. You know, I could get out of jams. I could handle shit. You know, I could do good things. I
yeah,
could fuck up and come back again. Like, bro, you
yeah,
just learn. And again, it goes back to our experience conversation where once you've lived a little bit, you see, oh man, like, it's
yeah.
not that fucking serious most of the
A
time.
lot
Life,
of the shit repeats
a lot
itself,
of this shit repeats itself,
right?
man.
And what we have with that is proof, right? It's proof that like, oh, I always bounce back.
Literally.
Right? Like I'm always good. I always win in the end. Like I always bounce back. I'm always good. I'm always winning. Even when I go through the bullshit, like it always ends. Right?
Big facts. Do you remember he's still around Wretch EP? He
I remember
was
that name.
he was like pretty big in that like ASAP mob. He was always around the ASAP mob like early on, and he's just a super character. I fuck with him. And he had an interview and they asked him what's like your main message, and he's like, don't panic. Just never panic. Like anytime you think about when you've panicked, it made shit way worse.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it hit something in my brain, bro, where it's I think about that every fucking day of my life where when you panic, everything gets worse. If you like can't find a parking spot and you start to panic, makes it
You're done. You
you're
might
done.
crash.
You might crash
You
literally, and
might
it's so
crash.
fucked when you break it down to that. Everything bad is from panic almost. Like
Yeah, man. I remember Will Smith said something similar. Like his dad told him some shit like, "Yo, when people panic, people die."
literally.
And I'm like, yeah, like that was always my reason for trying to stay calm. It's just like, yo, if you allow this to get out of control, like people die.
Literally, bro.
You
It's a
know,
huge key.
and yeah, I try to make sure that people around me are always calm because one person could just throw everything off or like freak out, and then it's like, damn, now you're the actual problem
Yes.
versus whatever we thought the problem was. You know?
Yes, bro.
Even with like drowning, they said like, yo, be careful trying to save somebody drowning because they could fucking just pull you under because they're freaking out. You know, so stay calm, keep calm, kids. Everything's gonna be all right.
100%, bro.
Yeah,
And be careful who you have around you, man.
facts. Some people are just crash dummies for real.
Real shit, no saving them. Yo, we're approaching an hour, which is crazy. Time fucking flies.
And time's not real.
Time is not real. Shout out to my homie Camille in grade 12. We had this exact conversation. He's like, time doesn't exist.
It
And I'm like,
doesn't.
you're the fucking smartest guy of all time, bro.
It
I still
doesn't.
say that to him when I see him. Facts. But yo, with that being said, I wanted to ask you, you sent me a very interesting video where you were basically a star of a reality show in Africa
That's true.
called Jet Lag Africa.
Yeah, my African work bay.
My African Work Bay. Quick summary. The man you see here you were essentially on, what was it, kind of a blind date
Yeah,
type
pretty
thing,
much.
matchmaking,
Yeah,
and you were out with a lovely African lady in Africa going on wine tasting.
for sure.
And basically that was the episode. Like, you guys are just chilling, talking,
Mm-hmm.
and all the YouTube comments, I watched every minute
I
of
didn't
it.
read the
I read
comments
every
yet.
comment, bro. You stole the show. And even guess there was like a couple other couples. I remember one of the other guys was like, "Are they married? Like, they look like they're married." Bro, first of all, how the hell did that come about?
That's a crazy story.
I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would, because I'm like, I don't know what this is, reality show,
Yeah.
whatever. I was enthralled with it. I'm like, this is fucking awesome, man.
Man, it was one shout out
Good.
to the good people at Jet Lag Africa. Really and truly, a friend of mine, she posted like one of their clips online, and I just asked her about it, like, yo, what is that? And she was like, oh, my friend's mom, she runs this company. They take people to Africa for free. And I was just like, huh, that sounds interesting. You know what I mean? So I went to the YouTube page, and they had, I think, the first 2 or 3 trips posted, and they weren't this like style, like they weren't this dating show kind of thing. And even my African Work Bay, it isn't really a dating show. I just made it look that way.
Okay.
You know, but they were more like traditional, like touristy, like culture exchange first, and like come see what
Got it.
Africa really is. That was the whole purpose. Like, we're gonna bring people and show them what Africa really is like. And they had like a drop down little menu, whatever, like a link. Like, we take the subscribers. So I'm like, I'll subscribe. And I sent a video. And most people apparently don't send videos when they reach out to apply or whatever. So they hit me back right away. And they're like, yo, we got the video. We want to talk to you a little bit more and like let you know more about what we do. And I was like, all right. And that conversation was really good. I'm still like a little skeptical because like you're taking people to Africa for free.
Yeah. Facts.
That's costly, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm always
sure.
thinking numbers in my head, like, how is this feasible? You know what I mean? But I'm like, whatever, I'm rolling with it. I'm in that Zen mode as well, so I'm like, just go with that natural feeling, you know, trust your intuition. Everything was like, this is cool. So eventually they got back to me, and I was talking to the founder, and she was like, you know, we're thinking about trying something different with the next trip. And she told me the idea, and I was like, that's crazy. Hell yeah, I want to do that. And she was like, are you sure? Because like we haven't really like decided that that's what it's gonna be yet. It's just an idea. And I'm like, no, that's a good idea. Like, do it. Like, if I'm on board, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, and like it should be that people do want to see that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially like with where we are in like the culture, and like it's like dating apps and this, that, and the third, like the interplay of like men and women and so on and so forth is like, it's a very prevalent thing. It's always a conversation. It's always gender wars. It's nonstop. When people travel, it's still the same thing, right? They just want to be able to put a visual to it and see it. So like, that's a wicked idea. If that's what you're gonna do, I'm down. And they're like, all right, bet. Next trip is in 30 days. Can you come? I was like, I just so happen to be available, you know? And they told me where it was going to be, which is a whole other story. I felt like I manifested that, but they're like, yeah, we're doing Cape Town. I'm like, bet. I'm prepared. I'm ready. And it was on. It was on.
And they did pay for everything.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, bro.
Everything was covered. There was no funny business. There was no gotcha, no catch. The only thing that went left for me was we were flying out of Philly.
Okay.
So my flight from Toronto to Philly got canceled like the night before.
Oh fuck.
So they got me a train ticket from Union Station to Penn Station. And yeah, I took the train from Penn Station. There's another train that goes to Philly, and I missed the first train. And it was the second last train of the whole night. So
Okay.
I ended up going to fucking Forest Hills, Queens. And I was pissed. Like, I'm on the train, like, damn, I fucked up. Like, how did I let this happen? You know what I mean? And like, in the train station, like, they make the announcement, but it's fucking muffled. So it's like, yo, all boarding, blah, 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 train, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, fuck. I'm seeing people running. I'm like, fuck it, this might be it. So I end up getting on the wrong train. But I met this cool ass dude that worked for Walmart head office, man. Shout out to Dan, wherever you are in the world, brother. And he tracked my flight. He tracked the train to let me know there is one more train, and it's the last train of the night. It was like 1 a.m. And he was like, this trip from Penn Station to it was going to Babylon.
Pennsylvania.
No, fucking New York.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, like when I got on the train, there was these white dudes sitting there, and I'm like, yo, is this going to Philly? There was like a particular terminal, I forget the name of the terminal. I'm like, it's going to Philly, and they looked at me like, what? And I'm like, Philly, is it going to Philly? They're like, it's going to Babylon. And I thought they were fucking with me, right? So I'm like, Babylon, and as I'm processing what's happening, the door closed. So now I'm just on this train. I'm like, shit. I caught the door and I was trying to like force it open. You know, like on the TTC, when you catch it,
yeah,
it'll
you
open.
can do it.
Not in New York. When they close these doors, they close. So I'm like, I'm holding the door and I'm like, this shit not gonna bounce back. So I'm like, fuck it. I pull my bag through the shit, let the door close. I'm like, how long is it to Babylon? They're like 20 minutes. I'm like, fuck, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm cooked. But Dan came through. He came through the back of the train on the door, just boom, came through, slammed his bag down. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with him, but I was just like, I was tripping on the train. I was turned up.
Did you
for
panic?
I couldn't panic because like I'd already lost. Right, like I was done. I missed the train. 20 minutes to Babylon, 20 minutes back.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm done. I was just pissed. And I guess he picked up on the vibe and he was like, yo, like, where you trying to go? So I told him he tracked the flight and he was like, that flight's still good because there was a storm in Philly. So I didn't even know if like we were gonna.
God bless.
Yeah. So he's like, the flight is still good. He found the train. He's like, there's one more train. And if you get off at the next stop, it'll be like 15 minutes back. You can make that. And I'm like, I don't know if I could make that. I didn't believe it. And he was like, look at me.
You gotta believe, bro.
Yeah, he was like, look at me. You can make that train. And I was like, all right. Got off. Crazy shit. We got off on the same platform. And he was like, he showed me like the board or whatever, like taught me how to read the board. And he was like, get on this platform. It's going to go back the other way and you're good. Right. I'm like, cool. And he walked the other way. I went upstairs, got on the other platform to go in the other direction. And I didn't see him. Like, he was gone. Like, fucking ghost town shit. I was like, damn, the fuck? Got back, got on the train. I tried to buy another ticket, but it was $50 USD, which I didn't want to spend because I already bought food in the food court. And I'm like, I might be stranded in New York, so I don't want to,
Right.
you know? So I'm like, fuck it. I still have my original ticket. I'm going to just get on the train and
Gamble.
I'm going to gamble it. So the train comes, I get on that shit, and the guy's coming around checking tickets. And in my mind, I'm like, the train already takes off. So I'm thinking, by the time he gets to me, he's going to see, oh, I don't got the ticket, but we're already on the way. So, like, it's nothing you can do about it. This is where I fucked up because there's like 3 or 4 stops in New Jersey. You don't want to be in New Jersey after 1 a.m. in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's There's not a lot of lights in New Jersey. It's a very dark state.
Shout out Hackensack,
Yeah, shout out to my people in Elizabeth,
Hoboken,
my good people in fucking Newark.
Newark.
You know, the Newark boys. Shout out to the Newark boys. But New Jersey is really dark. But I was like, damn, they could easily just kick me off in Jersey, and then I'm extra fucked because at least in New York, like I got family in New York.
Yeah.
I know how to get around. I know the lay of the land. I'll be all right. Jersey, I'm cooked. Dude comes around, checks the ticket. I show him my original ticket, supernatural, like it's the real thing. And he's like, "Yo, brother, this is for the wrong train." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yeah, this is for the train before this." I'm like, "Damn." He goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Are there any other trains?" I know there's no other trains, but now I'm like putting it on, right? I'm giving him the look, like, "Brother, this is all I got." And he was like, "Nah, there's no more trains." And I'm like, "Yo, I gotta catch a flight at 4 a.m. It's now like 1:20 a.m. Like, I gotta catch a flight at 4 a.m. All I need to do is get to Philly. Hold me down." And he looked around. He was like, "All right, I got you, bro." And I was like, "Whew, all right." Got to Philly and everything was crisp. Landed in Africa. Landed in South Africa. 16, 17 hours later.
Could have been a film in itself, man. Planes, trains, and automobiles, literally.
Brother.
Shout out Steve Martin.
From the plane to the club.
Love that.
Ignorance. Yeah, we didn't film for like the first 3 days. We were just chilling, catching a vibe. But man, South Africa is beautiful. Cape Town is amazing. The people are so fucking nice. Yeah, like just a great place, man. We had a good ass time. Jet Lag Africa held it down, and like the purpose of the trip was to show off the luxury side of Africa. And when you see the rest of what we did during the trip, it was just like levels and levels. Like they just kept turning it up a notch. Like it was a vibe for sure.
It's a hell of a story, bro. It's a really good story.
Yeah, for sure.
And how long were you there total?
10 days.
10 days. That's a good amount of time, man.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. I gotta now send them a video. I want to go.
Listen, they just announced the next trip, and this is not an ad, but you know, I rock with these people, and you know, Vinny, you my dog. The next trip is a singles trip.
Oh, let's get it, bro.
Just like mine, and it's to Ghana.
Let's go.
Yeah, so
Ghana podcast part 2 in Ghana.
Hey, man.
I know some people from Ghana. That's fucking lit.
Pop your collar one time, man. Send a little video. Send that application.
I'm gonna send this I'm gonna clip
part.
This is my application, man.
Take Vinny to Ghana.
Africa time.
He's ready. He's ready to see the world. He's ready to see the real. He's ready. He's ready to kiss the motherland on the cheek. You know. So
big facts.
Take my dog.
I'm ready, bro. I mean, I'm Sicilian.
Hey,
it's not too far away.
It's not too far away
at all. Fuck, that's so funny. See,
Africa's never too far away.
Africa's never too far away, man. I'm actually really thinking this now. Might have to send this, but yo, I gotta put you on the spot, man.
Sure.
You had a nice connection with that lady.
Yeah.
Have you stayed in touch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Nicole, we're still cool. We chop it up every now and then. Honestly, like, shout out to Nicole. Nothing like heavy, like, you know what I mean? Because the time difference.
She lives
so
there.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but every now and then, you know, say what's up, laugh at a funny post, you know, keep it light. But that's my dog. People are seeing a certain version of the events, but everything like off camera is like she helped make the trip even more comfortable because it was like, again, just the culture exchange, just learning like the little nuances of like life over there and like how people move. Like she was very like instrumental in making sure I was comfortable and I was in lock and step. How it's
held you down.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed the part when she was like she's not a fan of men from Zimbabwe, and you're like, fuck, it's the same conversation as happens in Toronto. Like
it's everywhere. She was like, "Oh, they're liars." I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
I thought it was something terrible. I'm like, motherfuckers is lying everywhere. Baby.
Yeah, literally every single part of the world. There's
lies
some
get told
like
globally.
yes, there's all like what you said, gender wars. That's definitely a thing, bro. Yeah, man. But that's funny, man. That's a good story, bro. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, that was a ball, man. I would love to do it again. You know, if you said they're showing love in the comments,
Oh, bro,
hey,
you
vote
might.
me back.
I think you got a fucking reality TV
I gotta,
situation
hey,
here, man. You might be the guy for that.
vote me back. I'm trying
You
to
were
go to the next
fucking.
trip.
It was like every comment, bro.
Hey,
I
that's
think you got to
love.
read the comments.
I'm gonna check them out. I'm gonna do a reaction video.
Do a reaction
Yeah,
video.
but I'm gonna read the comments and see what people are saying.
I was like proud. I was like proud. I'm like, yes, the homie's killing it
He's
here,
like, he
man.
had the business.
He handled the business, man.
There's more to come. There's more to come, man. Episode 3 on the way.
Love that. Love that. Fuck, bro. It's really obviously always a pleasure to talk to you. Is there anything you wanted to talk about, promote, anything, bro? Floor is yours. Freestyle. Your
Number
thoughts.
one, first and foremost, return on investment is available everywhere. But of course, if you love music and you love the real, come get it directly from me, DLRG.bandcamp.com. And yeah, put your money where your mouth is. Be proud to pay. Really support some real high level, highly crafted art. Jet Lag Africa, My African Work Bay season 1, episode 2 is out now on YouTube. Go watch it and see all the lavishness that we were exposed to.
Very high quality production, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Cameras were fucking on point.
Kiss Media, man, they handle business.
They did.
Real soldiers. We were out there for very long days, and they were troopers, man. They made us look good, and they made sure that they took care of us the right way. You know, I'll
Nice.
say that. But good team, good people.
Love it, man. Yo, Jaek DeLarge, always appreciate you, bro.
Listen, man, you already
Fucking
know.
legend. Where do the people find you for social media and all that?
Man, if you want to see me, I'm on Instagram at Jaek DeLarge, JaekDeLarge. If you want to see what I'm thinking, follow me on X. I don't even want to call it X, but follow me on X on Twitter. Same thing at Jaek DeLarge, JaekDeLarge. Where else am I? That's pretty much it. If you see me anywhere else, mind your business, bro.
Facts. Reddit posts some
Yeah,
shit.
if you see me anywhere else, mind your
Stay
business.
away. You don't want to know.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, dog. It's fucking always a pleasure. Shout out to everybody doing their thing. 2024, real Toronto shit. Let's fucking get it.